Coast, we bring you more. Stay with us, stay in the loop. Straight talk, clear view, one place for the story, one voice for the truth. Patriot Nation News, PNN, we bring it through. Patriot Nation News, what you need right now for you. Patriot Nation News, hear it loud, clean and true. PNN, PNN, Patriot Nation News. Voices rise, the facts roll in. Every angle, every win. City halls and highway miles. Real lives, real news, real time. Stay with us, stay in the loop. Straight talk, clear view, one place for the story, one voice for the truth. Patriot Nation News, PNN, we bring it through. Patriot Nation News, what you need right now for you. Patriot Nation News, hear it loud, clean and true. PNN, PNN, Patriot Nation News. When the day gets loud.
All right, Dave in the AM with your PNN Patriot Nation Network News, PNN News for this hump day, this Wednesday. We got some breaking news. It's been out for a little bit, but not too long. We have multiple people shot outside a Kroger grocery store in Harris County, Texas. So the police, there's not much information as far as this report. Police arrived at the scene as the suspect was walking out of the store and shot at him, leaving him in critical condition. Fox 26 in Texas is reporting. Video from the scene shows the police arresting a man who appears to be the suspect. It's still under investigation, and the suspect is receiving medical treatment, is in custody. They're receiving that treatment. According to Fox's Brooke Taylor, the shooter was identified as a black male. Harris County Police said witnesses reported seeing a black man wearing a yellow shirt and black pants firing a weapon inside the store. A possible suspect has been detained. It's not clear yet if he was a targeted or if it was a targeted or random shooting, Taylor wrote on X. Described the situation or the incident as a domestic situation. According to the sources, the shooter showed up to a busy Kroger where the victim worked and shot him. The victim is in grave condition. The shooter was also shot, she wrote. So she had put on social media, sources tell me the information now is that this was a domestic situation. The shooter showed up to a busy Kroger where the victim worked and shot him. The victim is in grave condition. The shooter was also shot. Police are trying to still confirm that the gunman was shot at that time that she posted that. Bystanders reportedly said they were inside the store shopping when yelling and gunshots rang out. Those interviewed described chaos with old women crying as everyone ran out of the store. It was very sad. I hate that when that happens. That is some breaking news from the Gateway Pundit. And, of course, Fox there in Texas. I want to give them Jordan the information there. I want to make sure they get that. Well, the U.S. has launched a wave of strikes against Iran, and the president is weighing a wider range of attacks. He's at least talking about it. CENTCOM said the strikes began at 3 p.m. Daylight Time and targeted Iranian military capabilities used to threaten vessels freely transiting the waterway. U.S. military also said one of its aircraft fired and disabled an empty oil tanker that was trying to break the naval blockade of Iran's ports. CENTCOM said the Curacao-flagged MT Belma was stopped after the aircraft fired Hellfire missiles into the ship's smokestack. You better believe they're going to stop if you're doing that. The ship is no longer transiting to Iran, it said on X. Iranian state media reported explosions in several cities including Bandar Abbas, Rask, and Che Badar. Earlier reports also cited blasts around other southern cities, and they said fresh U.S. strikes had hit Bushehr, home to Iran's only civilian nuclear plant. So we will see. The president is saying next week it gets really bad for them. He's threatening to hit power plants and bridges unless Tehran returns to the negotiating table. Their negotiator warned that a memorandum of understanding only has meaning when its clauses are valid and being implemented. Quote, if Iran is not to derive any benefit from the memorandum of understanding, we have no reason to adhere, he said in a statement. So we know at the heart of this is the Hormuz and whether they can control shipping in the lanes. More and more people have come out against Iran being able to do that, charging these fees to transition through international waterways. So, they're talking about the bombings there. The Iranian deputy foreign minister said anxieties are running high in Iran. Someone, an artisan, said that little children are so frightened by the sound of explosions that they don't sleep until morning. I feel bad for the people, yes. War or some sort of conflict is always harmful to the innocents. He said, if God forbid the war becomes more intense, then perhaps it will take several generations before we get back on our feet. This could all end today if they would just stop, going against obviously what everyone in the world mostly has said. So we will see. Again, the Iran is saying they're threatening to shut down Mideast oil after the blockade has came. I don't think that they can do those things. They can do terror activities. My opinion, Dave in the AM here for the Wolf Nation Network, but I don't think that that is a possibility for them to do. Don't think they have much of any Navy left except for the fast boats. They do have the drones and maybe some missiles, but they're finding it harder to get those to launch in great masses. So I think the U.S. is putting a tight hold on them and tightening that up, and we will see if in the coming days they will. Nobody wants to see ground troops in Iran, but I think as this amps up at some point, they will have to back off. The Knesset and the Speaker hold moment of silence for Graham in Israel. It was a solemn moment of silence as lawmakers from across the political spectrum paid tribute to one of Israel's strongest and most consistent allies in the U.S. Congress. Knesset Speaker Amir Ohana introduced the tribute by asking members to stand in memory of the longtime senator, quote, in honor of one of the greatest friends the state of Israel has ever had. Members of the Knesset from both sides of the aisle will now rise for a moment of silence to pay respects to the legendary Senator Lindsey Graham. May his memory be a blessing. Ohana made his statement before lawmakers observed the silence. The tribute underscored Graham's decades-long reputation in Israel as one of America's most outspoken supporters of the Jewish state. So, just some activities there as we see, and that's from the Newsmax Wires. We want to give them full credit for that. A little bit more news about Dr. Chauncey Crandall to Newsmax. The aortic tear doomed Graham, he said. He said that an aortic dissection is a rare but frequently deadly medical emergency, saying, quote, most patients do not survive, end quote, the condition if it progresses rapidly. He appeared on Newsmax, and he reported that the death, which is described as an aortic dissection, as a, quote, a ripping or tearing of the aorta that is commonly seen in patients that have a history of hypertension. Of course, we've got to regulate those things. Crandall added that smoking history is very significant for those patients as well. As the aorta tears, it can go in two directions, one towards the heart and the other down the back to the left. Both of them can be life-threatening, especially the one that goes towards the heart. Graham was 71 years old at the point of his death. Crandall is the chief of cardiac transplant program at Palm Beach Cardiovascular Clinic, so that he has treated many, many cases in his career, though he noted the condition is not something cardiologists encounter frequently. Crandall said he believes Graham likely suffered a rapid dissection. He went into a full cardiac arrest and usually these are the people that never survive. If they have a partial dissection, possibly we get them to the hospital, do emergency surgery, but the likelihood of survival is always very low. So I'm not, he says, I'm not surprised that he did not make this event. He emphasized that controlling major risk factors is key because the condition often strikes without warning. The key is to reduce the risk factors. Those risk factors are hypertension, smoking, hyperlipidemia, overweight status. Crandall appeared alongside internist Dr. Frank Contessa, who urged anyone experiencing chest pain, back pain, or other unusual symptoms to seek emergency medical care immediately, noting that an aortic dissection can be rapidly diagnosed with a CT scan. So that is good information to know. And again, prayers to his family, or not. There he has his friends and family, and colleagues who are very sad to see this happen. His sister obviously was sworn in. We've seen that she will finish his term, and senators push Graham's final Russia sanctions. It was also from the floor today. Passage of a Russian sanctions bill would be fitting way to honor the late senator, according to senators from both major parties. Lawmakers are rallying behind bipartisan legislation targeting Russia, arguing its passage would cement one of Graham's final legislative priorities after his unexpected death over the weekend. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, Republican South Dakota, said Monday that approving the measure would be a great legacy, great tribute to Lindsay, according to The Hill. The bill enjoys broad bipartisan backing with 85 Senate co-sponsors. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democrat New York, also urged quick action. I urge Senator Thune, in honor of Lindsay, to put the Russia sanctions bill on the floor immediately. Schumer said from the Senate floor, quote, "It will pass overwhelmingly and help our allies in Ukraine." This was something he had been very involved with, yes. I wanted to go over to a couple things. I want to go a couple things more, one more or two more about Iran. Then I want to look at something else. But Trump announced today, the president, that Iran releases wrongfully detained U.S. citizen. He's been wrongfully detained since 2024. The woman held since December 2024 is now safely outside of Iran and in good condition, he wrote on True Social. The United States of America appreciates this gesture of goodwill by Iran, he's added. The announcement did not identify the woman by name or provide details about how her release was secured. According to reports from the Times of Israel, Axios, and The Guardian, the woman had been detained in Iran since December of 24 and is now out of the country. Her attorney, Jared Ginzer, said she is en route back to the United States after thanking Trump and others who worked to secure her freedom. So that is some good news in the midst of a chaotic situation, and we're glad for her and her family. Further on this information about Iran threatening to shut down Mideast oil after the blockade, Breitbart is citing Iranian state media reporting that the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps warned that energy exports from the region would continue for all countries or stop for all countries. Quote, "The export of oil and gas from the region will be either for everyone or for no one," the IRGC said in a statement. So we'll see if they can indeed back that up. I do not know. The Iran tension spurred the Jones Act review by the White House. The White House is weighing another extension of waivers allowing foreign ships to transport goods between U.S. ports as renewed conflict with Iran raises concerns about energy prices and supply disruptions. According to two sources familiar with the discussions, the Trump administration is considering whether to extend the waivers with geographic restrictions, limiting where foreign flag vessels can transport goods between U.S. ports as officials seek to preserve a tool they say has helped ease supply pressures while addressing criticism from maritime industry groups and Republican allies. The White House, along with the Energy, Transportation, and Interior Departments, met early this week to weigh options ahead of a potential decision before the end of July to try to offset those things. I want to, and of course, the Democrats have continued to stall the National Defense Act amid this fight. Moving over to the Epic Times, I wanted to get a couple of stories in there. One of them is the European Union has signed a pact with Ukraine on joint weapons production. We've been seeing this amp up of late. They signed a joint weapons production deal with Ukraine today, solidifying the region's support for the country's defense and its ongoing conflict with Russia. President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, who was in Ukraine to attend the country's statehood day, and President Vladimir Zelensky announced the new EU Ukraine Defense Industrial Partnership in Kyiv. Quote, we will bring together the best of our drone ecosystems underpinned by a drone deal, von der Leyen said. She reiterated her support for Zelensky and the European Union's commitment to Ukraine against Russia in its 4-year conflict. The EU stands with the brave people of Ukraine, von der Leyen said during a press conference in Kyiv on Wednesday. Every strike only strengthens your people's determination to be free, and our resolve to support you in Ukraine any way we can for as long as needed. The drone deal will combine drone technology developed in Europe and Ukraine. We will not only develop the next generation drones and counter drone systems, we will manufacture them faster than ever before, von der Leyen posted on X. Ukrainian ingenuity tested every day on the battlefield, and EU industrial strength, able to produce at speed and at scale, will reproduce the same with missiles. The EU and Ukraine signed a letter of intent to establish joint drone and anti-drone production by the end of 26 and joint anti-ballistic missile production by 2028. The pact also establishes support for defense manufacturing. Zelensky called the agreement, quote, a truly historic step, end quote, in relations with the EU. He also expects financial support from Europe for its anti-ballistic missile program, which could take Ukraine closer to producing missiles for Patriot systems. President Donald Trump said at the NATO summit last week, the United States would grant Ukraine a license to produce its own supply of Patriot air defense systems. Quote, for the first time, Ukraine is moving closer to the possibility of producing missiles for Patriot systems. Could become the third country in history to secure and such a privilege, Zelensky said on X. So we will see where this goes, but we can see that things are heating up, and maybe, just maybe, they are seeing that possibility that Ukraine is getting the upper hand now in this battle with Russia. So got more precision. They've hit home more, and they're causing gasoline oil shortages. Who's having to buy on the open market to prop those. Crimea is particularly tough in many ways as they've hit the bridges and ships in the region. So interesting for that from the Epic Times. I wanted to continue with that. There's also a listing of 5 takeaways from Todd Blanche's nomination hearing for Attorney General. And this will be a heavy fight during the confirmation in Washington today. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche spent about 5 hours fielding questions from U.S. senators in his bid to become the nation's 88th Attorney General. Which President Donald Trump's nominee for Attorney General said serving in the Department of Justice was my American dream. I've lived the American dream. I've waited tables to get through college, moved to New York with my wife and 2 kids, went to law school at night, textbooks on the late train home while I worked days as a paralegal at the U.S. Attorney's Office. He then became a prosecutor and spent 9 years prosecuting violent gangs, and drug dealers. Blanche rose to the ranks, but he did not take the path for a title. I took it to make a difference for American families and the towns they call home. Blanche commended DOJ employees and said, leading them is the honor of my professional life. 5 highlights from that hearing, which will continue tomorrow on July 16th, before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Blanche and several other committee members acknowledged the vacant chair that would have been ceded by Senator Lindsey Graham. If Blanche receives the committee's nod, the full Senate would need to schedule a vote to confirm his appointment. Republicans hold 53 seats in the Senate now, while Democrats hold 47. Democrats say Blanche is still Trump's lawyer. They do not believe that they believe he has failed to detach himself enough from his former role as Trump's personal lawyer. So they have time. They have a problem with that. Number two about these hearings, Republicans note less crime, more prosecutions. We looked at some of those numbers this morning, but just to give you a couple, more than 6,300 fentanyl arrests and seized more than 428 million fatal doses of the drug. It is the nation has logged its lowest homicide rate since 1900. The FBI has arrested 2,900 child predators and human traffickers, a 70% increase from 2024, and located more than 6,940 child victims. So obviously making a difference. Number three, the Epstein files. Durbin, at the outset of the hearing, took issue with the Justice Department's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein case and release of files related to the deceased sex offender. Although Bondi was head of the DOJ at the time of the release, Blanche took the lead on the initiative. Durbin accused Blanche of being more concerned about protecting Trump's reputation than about pursuing justice. He mentioned that the DOJ accidentally leaked the names of some victims that were intended to remain private. Meanwhile, the names of powerful Epstein allies remained protected, in clear violation of the Epstein Files Transparency Act, Durbin said. Blanche countered that there was a nary a peep about the Epstein case during the Biden administration. He also said the DOJ worked to quickly redact the names of the victims when notified about the mistake. I will absolutely say that any mistake that we made should not have been made, and I very much apologize, he told Senator Richard Blumenthal, Democrat, Connecticut. The next thought about this hearing, anti-weaponization fund. Many senators at the July 15th hearing said the DOJ's decision to settle a Trump lawsuit with the IRS and establish a fund to pay alleged victims of government overreach showed Blanche's priorities favored Trump. The $10 million lawsuit stemmed from 2019, as we know. The settlement proposed the establishment of nearly $1.8 billion to fund and compensate alleged victims of government weaponization. Blanche told Congress in June that the plan had been abandoned after a federal judge blocked it. So they were upset about that. Adam Schiff, he said, quote, that despite any internal DOJ discussion about the settlement, the buck stopped with Blanche. Who rejected the 25 defenses the IRS had of this sham lawsuit? Schiff asked. Blanche, you made the decision not to defend the IRS and the Justice Department. Schiff accused Blanche of having come to compromise on his principles. Blanche said his principles have not changed since taking over the DOJ. My motivation and my goal was the same thing for the people who worked with me and worked for me, which is do the right thing, enforce the laws, and put bad guys in jail. And the last thought about this is mail order abortion pills. Chuck Grassley said that the committee had received several inquiries about a Louisiana court case challenging the relaxed Food and Drug Administration regulation on mail order abortion drugs. When he asked Blanche about the DOJ's position in that case, the nominee responded, quote, President Trump is the most pro-life president in history, and the work that this department's doing in that space is something that hasn't been done in 10 years. That entails examining the safety of abortion pills. However, Blanche said that, quote, it would be wrong for me to talk about any litigation strategy beyond what's in our briefs, end quote. But the Trump DOJ is, quote, not in any way defending, end quote, loosening abortion bill restrictions, which happened during President Joe Biden's administration. Senator Josh Hawley, Republican, Montana, described the case in which men had forced pregnant women into taking abortion-inducing pills or even had covertly put them into the women's drinks. Then he asked Blanche whether he would consider using DOJ resources to begin a Protecting Women's and Children initiative, which would prosecute people for this type of crime and would work with states to go after those coerced abortions. Blanche replied, quote, I very much commit to looking at that. I share your concerns. A lot of that is not necessarily a federal crime, but the federal government can certainly help in that space. So those hearings will continue to go on. In the time we have left, we don't usually take these past a half an hour. I wanted to say congratulations to Argentina, who did beat England. Sorry to all you English fans. And them in Spain will play for the World Cup on Sunday. It's a big, big deal. All-star game for baseball. Obviously, the AL beat the NL 4-0 with a lot of strikeouts. So we will see. We'll update you again tomorrow on these hearings and some other things as we take time for that. Hitting some news at different points, whether it's our morning show, our Wolf Report, and PNN News. We try to cover a broad spectrum. Thank you for watching Wolf Nation Network, which is now on Roku. We're still uploading video on demand videos, but we are going live there every day, and we appreciate so very much your support. Also, don't forget our Substack. Go there and join. There's programming that is not found anywhere else but Substack. And thank you to all my co-hosts and friends, those that support the podcast in any way. The mini podcast, that's why we're a network, the Wolf Nation Network. We have mini podcasts. We appreciate you very much. God bless America, and God bless you, and we'll see you next time.
Morning breaks, we turn it on. Top stories coming fast and strong. From the map to your front door, what matters most, we bring you more. Stay with us, stay in the loop. Straight talk, clear view, one place for the story, one voice for the truth. Patriot Nation News, PNN, we bring it through. Patriot Nation News, what you need right now for you. Patriot Nation News, hear it loud, clean and true. PNN, PNN, Patriot Nation News. Voices rise, the facts roll in. Every angle, every win. City halls and highway miles. Real lives, real news, real time. Stay with us, stay in the loop. Straight talk, clear view, one place for the story, one voice for the truth. Patriot Nation News, PNN, we bring it through. Patriot Nation News, what you need right now for you. Patriot Nation News, hear it loud, clean and true. PNN, PNN, Patriot Nation News. When the day gets loud, we cut through the crowd. When the feed runs wild, we keep it straight and style. Patriot Nation News, PNN, we bring it through. Patriot Nation News, what you need right now